All right, we're live.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hi there. Hi. Welcome to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. My name is Linda, and I am a teacher here. Raise your hand if you've been to Philadelphia before. Oh, good. Oh, I see lots of hands. Some of you are very close and some of you are far away, but I do hope all of you come visit us sometime at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It is one of the top 5 art museums in the whole country, and we have over 300,000 works of art here. And today, what we're going to be talking about is stories in art. Raise your hand if you like stories. Who likes stories? Oh, good. I see lots of hands. If you don't like stories, it's not your thing, that's okay. But today we are going to be looking at works of art that tell stories, and we're also going to be creating our own stories by looking at some works of art today as well. So there will be plenty of time for questions. I hope you do have questions. Let's go on inside the museum. This is the outside. And we're going to go inside. And since many of you have not been here before, I'm just going to quickly go through our galleries to give you an idea of what the inside of the Philadelphia Museum of Art looks like. Here is our beautiful great stair hall behind me. Here we are in our Impressionist gallery, and look at this sculpture of a ballerina. It's a bronze sculpture of a ballerina. Can everybody see that okay? Yeah? Okay, good, good. Here is our Japanese tea house. Let me get out of the way a bit. Our Japanese tea house comes to us all the way from Tokyo, Japan, and we are so excited that it lives here with us at the museum. And here is one of our armor galleries. Gallery is another name for room, if you didn't already know that. Our galleries are filled with all different types of art. And our armor gallery is filled with hundreds of pieces from the medieval and Renaissance era. Now, for those of you who have never been on a virtual field trip before, I just want to tell you a few things. I can see and hear you just like you can see and hear me. Sometimes I'm going to get out of the way, as you've already noticed. I might roll out of the way like this, but I'm still here. I promise. See, you can see my hand. And sometimes I'm going to do something really, really cool. I'm going to kind of fly out of the way like that. But I promise I'm here and I can see you at all times. It's just a way of seeing the art and not having to see me. All right. So we are going to get started with our first work of art that we're going to look at today. And we all know what a story is, correct? Yeah, we all know what a story is. And there are certain things that a story has. Stories have, well, what do they have? Raise your hands, guys. What are some things that stories have?
Word.
Words. Absolutely. Stories have words.
People.
People, or we might call them characters, right?
Or pictures.
Exactly. Sometimes stories have pictures. Anything else that stories might have? They have a title. Yes, absolutely.
Riley, what were you going to say?
Illustration.
Riley, what were you going to say?
They also have art.
Some have art, illustrations.
That's right. Some have illustrations in them. Very good, gang. So we have people, we call them the characters. We have they have illustrations in them a lot of times. Somebody said words. That's true. Though I have seen books that are just pictures that also tell a story. Those are really cool. We also have things like a beginning to a story, a middle, and an end. We have a setting, a plot, and quite often a problem. So those are all the things that stories have. Keep that in mind today as we look at our works of art that tell stories. Some things, the characters. Who are the characters in these stories? Where is the story set? Where does it take place? And something else to think about, what might happen next if you could continue to look at this particular work of art. All right, gang. So we're going to start with a work of art that lives in this part of the museum. This is our American Art Gallery, rather. And here is our first work of art. Okay, can everybody see this okay? Let me get out of the way. All right. So are both schools able to see this work of art okay?
Yes. Yes.
All right, fantastic. So what I want everybody to do is just take a quiet moment and look. Look at it. Okay, so here's how it looks in our gallery, and then let's take a closer look. There we go. All right, and we're going to see some hands. All right, my question to you is, raise your hand so your teacher can call on you. What do you see?
I see a guy.
Could you repeat that for me? What do you see?
I see a guy.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, who else wants to share? What do you see?
I see stairs and I see two persons and I see a door that it does not have a door.
Says stairs, 2 people, and a door. Open
Okay.
up.
All right, so stairs, 2 people, and a door. All right, anybody else want to share? I'll take 2 more hands. What else do you see?
I see a man and 2 people in green jackets going up the stairs and looking at something.
Okay, all right, fantastic, gang. So we see 2 people, right? There's 1 person here. Let's get in a little closer. We see this guy here, but then also peeking out, here is another guy here, and it's in a stairwell. Here we can see the stairs, and there is a door. It looks like some kind of doorway, and then we see the stairs as well. Fantastic, everybody. This work of art was created a long time ago. Did some of you notice that perhaps this was painted a long time ago? Does it look like something that was painted a long time ago? What do you think? Yeah, the way that they're dressed tells us this is probably a long time ago. This was painted in 1795 by an artist named Charles Willson Peale. Charles Willson Peale painted this. These are 2 of his sons right here going up the stairs. And this painting is so cool for so many reasons. 1, it's a wonderful painting. And 2, it's as big as a door. 3, he set it in a real door frame. It's not a painting frame, but a door frame. And then at the bottom here, let me zoom in real close. This right here is an actual wooden step. It's not painted. It's an actual wooden step. So let's go back 1. Here we go. Can you guys see that? Can you see how that's a real wooden step? So Charles Willson Peale made this beautiful painting, put it in a door frame, and then put a real step on the bottom to make it look even more realistic. This painting was so lifelike, so realistic, that it fooled one of his very good friends. And I think you're going to know who this person was. Have you ever heard of this guy named George Washington? Yes, right? George Washington. This painting fooled George Washington. George Washington thought that they were real boys, and he tipped his hat hello to them. And that's such a great story, it was made into a book. Check this out. There's a book called The Jokes on George. And in this book, it talks about how George Washington was fooled by the painting. Let me zoom in here and show you. Here is George Washington visiting Charles Willson Peale in his museum. Charles Willson Peale, the artist of this painting, opened the country's first natural history museum, and his friend George Washington came and visited him one day. When he was going past this painting, he stopped to say hello to the boys. He was so surprised that they didn't say hello back. Look at him there. How could you not say hello back to the president? And then he realized, oh, wait, It's just a painting. And everybody had a good laugh, including the president. That's a pretty cool story about a painting. All right, do we have any questions before we move on to our next work of art?
We have a question. She's coming.
Great.
When did it happen? When he fooled the president?
Good question. It happened a long time ago. The painting was created in 1795, so not too long after that. And George Washington was still our president, so it fooled our president, George Washington.
How long ago was it made?
They just answered that.
It was hundreds of years ago at this point. 1795, a super long time ago.
Oh, wait. Audrey, go ahead. We have one more.
When did he die?
When did Charles Willson Peale die?
Yes.
That's a good question. You know, I don't have that off the top of my head, but I bet you as a class could look that up after our time together.
Okay.
Good.
How did you guys move it?
Ooh, good question. How did you move it? That's the question.
Oh, well, I want to say very carefully, of course, but how did we move it from his Natural History Museum to here at the museum?
Yes.
Yes, so it was given to us a very long time ago. The Philadelphia Museum of Art is well over 100 years old. And so they gave it to us, and we have it here in this gallery. Here you can see people in the gallery, and it lives right here, and it doesn't move. And this step here not only fooled George Washington, and from what I'm told, a couple of dogs during the day, but it still continues to fool people. People still come to the gallery and think that these are two boys walking up the stairs. Okay, I'll take two more questions before we move on.
Kenzie, go ahead.
What is that? Paint it in a door frame.
Did you ask me if it was painted in a door frame?
Why was it painted in a door frame?
Oh, good question. Okay, so it wasn't painted. He didn't paint on a door. He painted on a canvas, but then thought, I'm going to attach a real door frame to make it look even more like it's in a doorway, to make it look even more like these two are going up the stairs. So if you take your fingers and try to cover up the door frame, you know, kind of cover up the step and do that, you'll see that it doesn't look as lifelike. But when you put that door frame in the step, whoa, it really does look like two boys going up the stairs. And so that's why he did it. He was using his imagination.
How did he put the step on the painting?
How did he put a step on the painting? Okay, so let's zoom in here. Gang, these are excellent questions that you have today. So the canvas, you know, that we paint on stops right here. And then this part right here is wood, and this is wood, and this is wood. So he made it out of wood, and he pushed it up against the painting. And then he put the frame all the way around so you can't even tell. It's fooling the eye, or trompe-l'oeil as they call it. All right, gang, we have got to move on to our next work of art. But before we do, there's one more thing I have to show you about this painting, and it is this here. I don't know if anybody noticed this little thing here on the step. Did anybody notice this when you were looking? It looks like right? So you noticed that. It looks like a little piece of paper here. What it is, and it's painted. He did such a great job painting it to look very real, like something on the step. It's an admission ticket to his museum. Remember I said Charles Willson Peale opened the country's first natural history museum? He painted a little ticket to the museum here, so, you know, so everybody would know. And check this out. This is what the ticket looked like. This is a real ticket. It says admit, and there's a blank here where you can put your name, to Mr. Peel's museum. And then down here is his signature, C.W. Peel, Charles Wilson Peel. When you guys come to the museum and visit me someday, right next to the painting is an actual admission ticket, so you can check that out all by yourself. All right, gang, let's move on to our next work of art. I have so much to show you today. Okay, and this is it. Raise your hand. Has anyone seen this one before? Nope. Oh, are some of our friends leaving? Yes? Oh, bye, gang. Bye. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Have a great Thursday. All right, so now we're going to talk about this work of art. This work of art looks like a painting, but it's actually a quilt. And we all know quilts. Usually when we think of quilts, we think of them on our bed or on our couch or in a basket. Well, this artist, Faith Ringgold, she creates quilts and turns them into works of art that tell a story. That's not the only way she creates art, but this is definitely one of them. Her mother, her grandmother, and her great-grandmother also made quilts, so it's a family tradition. And being an artist, she creates it with a work of art here. So we call this a story quilt. It tells a whole story. I'm going to pop out of the way, and what I want everybody to do is just take a really good look at it. And I'm going to zoom on in here. All right, I'm going to get real close so we can see all that's going on with this quilt. And I want everyone just to look because I'm going to ask you some questions after we take a good look. And I'm just going to slowly zoom around here. All right. Now let's see some hands to answer my question. What did you notice? What do you see here?
There's buildings.
Buildings. Okay, great. Yes, you see buildings. Excellent. What else do you see?
There's a story on the quilt.
Where do you see the story on the quilt?
Where the sky is.
Where the sky is. All right. And what else do we see? I'll take 2 more hands from each class.
It has flying people.
Flying people. Did you notice those people up in the sky? That's great.
What else about the quilt? Sophia.
When was it made?
Oh, I'm going to tell you that in just a few minutes.
About the quilt?
I see 2 people.
Okay, you see. Where do you see the 2 people?
On the bed.
On a bed. Okay, great.
I see a city.
You see a city. So those buildings say city to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. And did First Baptist get to give their answers as well?
What do you see?
I see some flying people, and I really like the flying people because it's unusual, and the guy on the building is really cool because Superman does that, and I like Superman.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right. All right. I think did we get everybody at First Baptist Academy?
We've had 3 people.
Oh, you have? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Great, thank you. All right, so what we saw, what everybody saw, what our classmates shared with us so far is we see some people flying up here in the sky. We see a city as the setting. We see two more people down here. And we see this man up here, tall as can be, like Superman, as one of your classmates mentioned, on top of the building. Fantastic, gang. So this is the story of a little girl named Cassie Louise Lightfoot and her brother BB. Cassie Louise right here and her brother BB laying on a mattress on a warm summer night in New York City, looking up at the stars. Over here we see their parents with their next door neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Honey. We also see this wonderful dinner set out on a table, but there's so much more to this. Up here, we see some people flying around. Now, how do we know who they are? Are they the same people we've seen before, or are they somebody new?
Somebody new. Same people.
Oh, yes. Okay. So they're the same people. It's Cassie, Louise, and BB. How do we know that? Well, they look the same faces, and also they're wearing the same clothing. Faith Ringgold has her characters doing different things in the story. They're sleeping on they're looking on the bed, they're flying through the sky. These are some of the things that they do during this story. Cassie Louise loves to fly, and she took her brother BB with her because he threatened to tell Mom and Dad. So he joins her on her adventures flying through the city. They go and they fly over the Union Building, so her father will be able to join the Union, which is something they want him to do. They also fly someplace else. Let's get in here real close. Can you guys all see that? It's the Goody Goody Ice Cream Factory. So Cassie Louise loves ice cream and wishes she could eat it every day for dinner. And so, of course, they fly over the Goody Goody Ice Cream Factory. Now, if you could fly somewhere, let's hear from a few people from each class. Where would you fly? If you could fly somewhere right now, where would you go?
I would go to Hawaii.
You would go. I would like to go with you to Hawaii. All right. Where else would you go?
Florida.
Florida. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cold out today. I'd like to go to Florida too.
Nicaragua.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And I'll take two more people.
I would go to a gummy bear factory.
Whoa. Okay. I think some of your classmates would like to join you on that trip.
I would go to an ice cream factory.
And you would also go to an ice cream factory like Cassie Louise. That's great, gang. I know that if I could fly anywhere right now, I would definitely fly someplace nice and warm because it's pretty cold here in Philadelphia today. All right, so that is our story quilt. This is called Tar Beach. And why do we call it Tar Beach? Well, when Faith Ringgold was little, her family liked to go up to Tar Beach. What is Tar Beach? It's the name of their roof of their apartment building. Roofs were often covered in tar, and beach is just kind of a kind of a joke, using their imagination to pretend they're on a beach while they're having a lovely picnic up at the sky. This is not only a story quilt work of art, it is also a book. You can see this here. You might have this in your classroom or in your library or even in your house. Faith Ringgold, the artist here, took this wonderful story and turned it into a book as well. All right, gang, do we have any questions?
Go ahead.
When was it made in?
So the painting here behind me was made in 1991.
When did you make it?
Oh, she just said that.
In 1991. And this, though Faith Ringgold is from New York City, she made this story quilt here in Philadelphia.
What kind of thread was it made out of?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that for me?
She asked what kind of thread it was made out of, but realized it was a painting, so.
Well, I mean, it is a quilt, so it does have thread in it. So you can see here, if you get very close, you can see that there is thread. What particular thread? That I'm not really sure, unfortunately. These are tough questions you guys are asking me today. All right.
What words say on the sky?
Yes, thank you. I was going to tell you that. I'm so glad you noticed that. You know, most people don't realize that they're words in the sky. They think that they are clouds. But if you look closely, and we're going to get really super close here, what these words are the words to the story. So you can see here she talks about sleeping on Tar Beach was magical. Laying on the roof in the night with stars and skyscraper buildings all around me made me feel rich, like I owned all that I could see. The bridge was my most prized possession. So not only can you look at this work of art and figure out what the story's about, she also included the words as well. All right, so are we ready to move on? Do we have time for one more, gang?
Is she still alive?
Oh, sure. Sure. Faith Ringgold is still alive. Yep. And she's a very, very nice person, too. All right. So let's move on. I want to quickly tell you one more story and then show you how you can make your own story before we run out of time. And what you see behind me is not a painting, not a quilt, but a piece of clothing. This piece of clothing is hundreds of years old and comes to us from Japan. And what it is a firefighter's jacket. This is the back of the firefighter's jacket, and it's turned inside out. And on the inside, you can see something painted here, can't you? Yeah. So what it is the story of Momotaro, or the Peach Boy. So what I'm going to do now, gang, is I'm going to tell you the story of Momotaro. It's a very quick story. And then we're going to talk about what part of the story is depicted here on the firefighter's coat, and why would the story even be on a firefighter's coat. So here is the story of Momotaro. Is everybody ready? Yep, we're ready to go? Okay, fantastic. So Momotaro, Momo is Japanese for peach. And this story is very well known in Japan, and it's a very, very old story. And sometimes it's told a little bit differently, but this is mainly how it's told. Here it goes. There was a man and a woman who were married and very much in love. They wanted to have a child, but did not have a child. One day, the woman was down by the water washing clothes, and this giant, giant peach floated by. She took the peach home and thought, fantastic, a giant peach. But what was inside was a baby. It was Momotaro. He was sent to them to be raised by them as their son. Momotaro grew up to be the strongest child in the whole town. He was strong, and he was brave, and he was very, very kind. Well, one day, Momotaro went to his parents and said he wanted to go to the land of the ogres, because those ogres that lived over in the neighboring town, they were not very nice. They were being mean, they were stealing, and causing a lot of problems for Momotaro's town. Momotaro said, this has to stop, and decided to go to the land of the ogres. and get them to knock it off. His parents, as you can imagine, were not very happy about this, but decided to let Momotaro go. His mother packed him delicious dumplings. His mother's dumplings were considered to be the best around and packed them for him. So off he went on his journey. Along the way, he made friends with a dog. He made friends with a pheasant, which is a kind of bird. And he made friends with a monkey. When they got to the land of the ogres, the monkey, the dog, and the bird all helped Momotaro round up the ogres. There was a little bit of a fight there, and eventually the ogres said, "Okay, we give up." They decided to give back all the things they had taken and knock off being bad. So that is the story of the very brave and strong Momotaro. Right here, you can see that an artist has made Momotaro here. Can you guys all see that? Yeah. What part of the story are we seeing right here in the back of this firefighter's coat? The fighting, right. So we've got Momotaro here, and even though he's supposed to be a teenage boy, this artist has made him super duper, almost superhero strong. And then down here on the ground is an ogre, and he's kind of saying, "Okay, I give up." And then all around are these circles. What could these circles be? They're important in the story too.
The stuff that they took.
That's a good thought. Stuff that they took. It's not the stuff that they took. Think about before Momotaro started on his journey.
Dumplings!
The dumplings! Yes! This is so important because when the ogres decided to knock it off being bad, Momotaro shared his dumplings with the ogres. He also shared it with his friends along the way. So you see the dumplings here, and you see the ogre, and you see Momotaro. Because it's a firefighter's coat, you also see some smoke here in the corner. Can everybody see that? Let me zoom in. There we go. And on this part, on this sleeve, you see a firefighter's tool. Now, why do you think a firefighter would want an image of Momotaro being strong and brave on the inside of their coat before they go into battle fires? What do you think?
To give them courage to fight.
That's a great answer. To give them courage to fight. Yeah. Anybody else want to share?
I think because firefighters are very, very strong and brave.
Yes, they are. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. I'll take two more hands. Two more people.
Because they're brave and strong on the inside.
They're brave because they're brave and strong on the inside. Okay, and one more person.
To protect them? Is that what you said?
To protect them, sure. Being a firefighter is not an easy job. You need to be strong and brave. And so having an image of Momotaro, somebody who showed great strength and bravery, to remind you to keep that with you when you're going to do something like that, is it, a really wonderful thing to do. Momotaro doesn't have to be just for firefighters. If you're going through something in your life where you need to be strong and brave and extra kind, you can think of Momotaro too. As a matter of fact, in Japan, here is in one of the cities in Japan, here is a statue of Momotaro. He's a very popular figure. And you can see him here with the bird, the pheasant, the dog, and the monkey. And you can see he's a teenage boy. All right, gang. I know we are just about out of time. Today we looked at a quilt. We looked at a firefighter's jacket. We looked at a painting that fooled even President George Washington. And I am going to leave you with a way that you can make a book. This artist made an accordion book. He took pages, he just took paper and he glued them together just like this. And then what he did was he cut out scraps of black construction paper and put them in a way that made people, you can see here, these are the pages of the book, going along. Is it a journey? Is it a procession? Is it a parade? We're not really sure, but all he did was take paper and then he put pages of a dictionary behind it and just black construction paper, or well, it wasn't construction paper, but it was a type of paper that looked like black construction paper. You can use black construction paper. You can see here, look at this. It looks like a cat, perhaps. Can you see that there? And that's a way that you can make your own book. You can see here that I can arrange the torn pieces into something as well. All right, gang. So that is pretty much it. I'm just going to scroll through as we're saying our goodbyes. Do we have any last questions before we go? By the way, this is by an artist named William Kentridge, and it's called Portage, and it was created in 2000, so it's relatively new. Here's the whole book all stretched out so you can see what's going on here. All right, any questions for me before we sign off for the day?
The second one. Was the quilt painted on, or I don't really get what the quilt was. As in quilt, how did they draw the things on there?
That's a good question. So she created the quilt, and then she used, she painted on it. She used a process called silk screening, which is a little bit more involved, and perhaps you can look into that into your classroom as well, to the process of silk screening. But yes, there's paint on there as well as the fabric used to make the quilt.
Charles Wilson Peel died February 22, 1827 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Thank you for taking the time to look that up to share with all of us. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
All right, now we know. Wonderful.
Okay. So is the paper, black paper, kind of like construction paper, or what?
It's fancier than construction paper, but yes, it's the same type of thing. So he made the accordion by, you can just put pieces of paper together. He put dictionary pages behind here, and then he took the black paper and ripped it up to create these wonderful figures. Some of them, this looks like a woman, she's dancing or, doing something. Some, like this one here, it's a little mystery, but what you can do with this is make your own story. All right, any other questions?
Yes. I had a George Washington book. Oh wait, hold on. When was this made?
This behind me?
Yes.
Well, first of all, it's great that you had a George Washington book. He was a fascinating person, and this was made in 2000, so it's not that old.
The painting that fooled George Washington, were those two people actually real? The people in the painting?
The people in the painting, yes. They are two of the artist's sons. Yeah, they were real people. So he painted his sons. It was a portrait of his sons.
Some of them look like the Israelites.
Okay. All right, so I think we're about out of time. Are we about out of time, everyone?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. So I'm just scrolling back past everything that we've seen today to give you guys another look. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to say thank you to both classes. I hope you enjoyed your virtual field trip to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I know I had a fantastic time. I hope all of you come on in and see us sometime at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It's a wonderful museum, and I hope you keep finding stories, not only in art, but all around you. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.